everyone. Welcome once again. And hi, Serene, my beautiful cosmic sister and wonder. That's my new expression of you, right?
Yes, it is.
So, welcome to us today. It's Wednesday, July 24th. My goodness, we are progressing this year, right? And today we will talk about what's meditation got to do with it. A little bit inspired from the song with Tina Turner as well, right? So I like that. Plus, we take your questions for anything spiritual related to the topic or something else, but spiritual. And we do mini readings if anyone wants to, but usually no one has actually requested, but that's fine too, whatever you want. We intend to be live with you every week on Wednesdays, usually at this time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Central time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Sweden, where I am right now, and 8 p.m. Greece. So last week we talked about, sorry for stumbling on the words here, guiding light, how to inspire and support those facing trauma, grief, and challenges. And included in that conversation was how do we express ourselves? Because it has a very significant meaning sometimes. How we talk to someone or how we talk to some ourselves as well. If you missed last week's show or want to catch up with any of our past episodes, you can find us at facebook.com/Cosmic Guardians, where we go live on Facebook right now, and also youtube.com/at Angel Place on Earth. You can also read all articles, past episodes, figure out and see upcoming shows and more at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. So that was the introduction for today. So how are you, my beautiful cosmic wonder and sister?
That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. I am feeling wondrous, and I am feeling connected to the cosmos, and I'm feeling like I am ready to share information. And if anybody takes just a morsel and it helps them find their way, this is beautiful. So let's just lay out those seeds and see what grows.
Yes, exactly. So what does meditation have to do with it?
Everything, everything. When you are connected to your higher self, and that only comes when you quiet the busyness of the thinking mind, the analytic mind, there is everything is possible. And it's interesting because in the ancient Sanskrit, the symbol that they have for meditation, it's not deep, it's not ethereal, it just means to be familiar with. And when you are familiar with your true self, you're able to tap into this ongoing happiness and joy, the serenity, the calmness, because you have a connection with your divine self. So that's as simple as it is.
Yeah. And how do you really meditate? There are many different ways, right?
Hmm.
Anything from just being in your energy, being in your own bubble, you could say, to going deep.
Correct. Correct. And I love the way that you put it in here. Um, just being mindful, and it's we see all these people in their great rooms of meditation, or that they have to practice for many years in order to get to where they are in the oneness. And these things were very useful when people had to find a way to discipline themselves more. And there's still a beautiful way to do it. However, when you really live meditation, it becomes that mindfulness. It becomes just in breathing in and breathing out, just taking the time to consciously breathe in and breathe out 3 times, 5 times. That is going to put a stillness into your being. Um, I had a chance when I was doing massage, and I had been asked to come to this business, and there were 20 people there, so I could only work on 10 in one day and then 10 the next day. And one of the things that I had learned in yoga was to call the breath of the lion, and you inhale and you lift the shoulders, and it looks like this. Okay, now it seems really weird, but what it does is it brings oxygen in, gets oxygen to your brain, and it also calms down the tension in the shoulders. So after I did a chair massage on each of these people, and they're a busy place, with phones ringing, I said, when the phone rings, if you just take 3 of these breaths, you'll be in a neutral place. Then you can answer that phone and you're not thinking about the last call or what's going to happen. Well, the next day I go in and the owner takes me aside and he says, "This is the weirdest thing. After you left," he said, "I keep hearing this going on." you know, the phone rings and people, and I hear this. What is going on? and believe it or not, just the simplest doing that, or taking a walk and being mindful of each place that you step, and just feel your love going into the earth and feeling the earth coming out. You don't have to do anything other than being in the moment,
Being present.
being present, being present. Yes,
Yes.
yes, being in
I
the
love
now.
exactly. So I think that for myself, for instance, like an example, um, I'm a doer. I can admit that. I love to do things. I always have something. I'm never bored. Never ever. Um, but sometimes it's nice to just do things. It can be anything, like ironing clothes or something. You are there, and
Yes.
these moments when you are present with yourself, that's when you get it. It comes things you don't really think about, but you get inspired. A lot of things are coming.
Hmm. And when you get into that stillness and you slow your breath down, if you're really really thinking about doing a deep meditation, and you get into the place where you're in beyond the alpha and the beta, you get into this place where your brain waves are very very slow, and in that space all things are possible. But we're always taught to, oh, there's no time for daydreamers. You need to get busy. We need to be active. You can be active and still be in a meditative state. And I find that when I take that moment to just basically, even if you call it centering yourself, you get this surge of energy. You can do amazing things that you would have been forcing yourself to do.
Yeah,
Why not use the power of the cosmos, you know?
exactly. And many times before we go to sleep, we can find ourselves. It's like you have waves in your body, right? You
Hmm.
can almost feel it. That's when you are in the most relaxed place.
Yes.
But you can go there anytime. But to go, that's kind of deep also. Maybe it's best to sit down or just let yourself flow away. It's
Hmm.
nice.
It is. It is. And because we've seen pictures of what people that meditate do, That's the concept that that's how we perceive that that's the only way that people are going to meditate. And I remember the first time I started meditating with my Reiki master, and everybody would have an experience. Oh, I was flying here. I was this. I saw lights, and I saw nothing but black. And I was sincere about what I was doing, and I thought I was broken. It wasn't until many, many years later that somebody was talking about meditation and saying, when you are in a deep trance meditation, you're in the oneness, and there is nothing, no thing, no sound, no light. So it's black. And I go, I'm not broken. I've been doing what people spend lifetimes trying to get to for a second, and I just go there. So,
I have experienced that too, not seeing, and you can see many different ways. I had when I was training many years ago for mediumship, I had someone coming, like, in the old TVs when you had
mhm.
like lights going
Vertical,
on.
vertical, and horizontal. Yes, yes,
Yeah, and but in the middle it was black, and someone came, and I could describe that, and that was someone's dad
yes.
coming through, right? So it can come in any way. Don't
Don't judge
expect
it.
anything. No,
Yes.
don't judge. And I also had a lot of times when there's nothing to see, and then you can see shapes of something red, for instance.
Mhm. Yes. It's just a matter of taking a few moments just to declutter the the analytic mind is always working out stuff and doing this and doing that, and it says, well, we need to be busy, and just it's like putting a child in timeout. Go sit over there and be quiet. And
Yeah.
speaking of children, you know how I love to work with children. um, when my little granddaughter, she was probably about a year old, and she had decided that she loved standing in front of me, and I would be holding her hands and she'd be bouncing on this ball. She thought that was the greatest thing in the world. Well, I was getting tired. So I thought I've got to find a way to slow this down. And I thought, okay, take a minute and I want you to breathe. And of course she didn't understand the breathing, but she would imitate my face and she'd go, you know, but we would take 3 breaths and then I'd let her do it again. And I would do this every time that we did this. And I found that when she would get upset about something, I say, okay, take three, and she'd take her 3 breaths, and then it would calm her, and then she would do it. When her little brother comes along and he was having frustrating things, she said, you got to breathe. This is the way, you know, there are schools in other countries that bring in that kind of a meditation to the kids before a class. They all have them slowly breathe in and breathe out. Just calming the breathing calms the mind. And they're finding that they respond, and they respond to other kids, they respond to the work they do so much better. And this is something that we could all learn from, is just taking that time, you know?
Yes, and it becomes like when you are living in some sort of flow, because it's energy also, right? So you live in
Hmm.
the flow. When you do that, the good news is that we don't need to fight for things. We need to take action, of course, sometimes. It's not like
Yeah,
we can sit down with our thumbs or we can become a nun or a monk, because not everyone is for that. Most people are not, right?
right.
And we need to take action, but we don't need to fight for something to happen. Well, what I usually say, take a step back, observe,
Beautiful.
be slow.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so perfect. So for take take a step back. Or there's the other expression, take a moment. Take a moment. Just stop for a moment and kind of gather yourself. Step
Yeah.
back. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because because everything also is energy. If we are fighting for something too much, we hang on to it. We first of all we create more resistance because we are in resistance when we are fighting.
Yes.
Second, if we are taking that step back, we leave the energies to move around. And sometimes when energies are changing, it can look a little bit like everything is happening at the same time, but the best thing is actually remain centered, take a step back.
Mhm.
So,
Yes. And that, the expression, you can't see the trees for the forest. You need to take that time to start seeing the trees. And when you do that, it's going to give you a different perspective, because where we got to in what we're dealing with, that has come from a lot of our ideas and our perceptions of what other people have said to us, and we're responding, and we're reacting, but we are not allowing ourselves to come to a different kind of conclusion, and doing the same things over and over and over, expecting a different outcome. That's, you know,
that's not happening.
yeah. And we do that because we get so hung up on, I've got to be right. I've got to be. And one of the things that Wayne Dyer says, if you have a choice of being right or being kind, be kind. And
Exactly.
that goes back to what we were talking about last week. If you're going to say something, think about what you're going to say, and is it going to be something that is going to be of assistance to this person, or is it just going to be a cliche that you're just doing just because your mouth is open? And
Or
that,
even sometimes something mean, right? Maybe
exactly.
we don't think what we say, but people can take it in a mean way.
Yes, because we're receiving it differently than you're giving it. And that's why the communication, we can be talking about, let's say we're talking about cars, and in my mind I have a Rolls Royce, and in somebody else's mind they have that wonderful BW that they like, or that Volkswagen. So we're all thinking of something that has four wheels and a steering wheel, but we're not thinking of the same thing. And
No,
our perception is going to be totally different, because you're going to be describing it as you see it. I'm going to be describing it as I see it. So we're not really communicating. And
no. Plus, it's interesting you came to communication because we actually have Mercury retrograde,
yes, we
and
do.
that is my planet, and I used to be in a lot of resistance. But how can one fight the energies of a planet? Why
That's
not
it.
try to figure out how to work with them instead? Because all energies have polarities, right?
Yes.
So we can kind of center ourselves and we can figure out how to follow. It doesn't mean we change ourselves. It's not about that. It means we go with it because Mercury have some benefits as well. It's a good energy to go within. It's a good energy for daydreaming about things, planning for what we want to do. So we can kind of start a process of manifesting, even if it's not going to happen during the period of Mercury retrograde, right? I
Yeah.
used to be that fighter. There's a whole lot of fire in here. And I started to pay attention. I said, my gosh, that energy is coming a few times every year.
Yep.
And plus, it affects technical things, but that's the only thing we can do. Yeah, we can restart our computers, our phones, stuff of that nature, right? But it's still going to be calmer anytime we are in resistance for something. when we're not centered, we create more of that.
Yes. Yes. And utilizing utilizing that strength to help us do what we need to do. I mean, the most dynamic leader ever, charismatic, and has the love of the people, in the negative would be a bully. So learning learning how to bring, as you said, bringing that energy in and saying, how can I use this while I've got this energy going? And that could be the reason that I'm doing all of this house cleaning and rearranging and getting everything set up and straightening out so I can work more effectively. So when you understand that we are energy and we have that capability of tapping into it, instead of resisting it and saying, oh, well, that's weird, that's funny, that's this, and saying, well, how about if I just take that moment and see what happens? Because
Yeah,
because the benefits, you're going to release negativity, you're going to sleep better, you're going to have clearer thinking, connect with your intuition, and we're going to be talking about
yeah,
intuition one of these days. Uh,
yes,
and when you tap into that intuition, you become more creative, but you
and
can literally heal your body and soul.
yes, and
And
that brings us back into meditation again, because meditation, basically, as you said in the beginning, you can live meditation,
that's right.
right?
Yes,
And without having expectations. And when we are releasing the resistance for a certain energy, we leave the energy to move around in its own way, unfolding things for us that we may not see if we are in resistance, right?
yes, yes, and it's the resistance that causes the conflict. And uh, there's many times we're used to dealing with traffic, and you'll see somebody that you know that they want to make cut across the traffic in a way that they're going to have to disrupt everything, or they get frustrated because they can't turn left and the traffic is going this way and they want to get way over there, and you can just feel their frustration. And I find that if I'm in those situations, it's just a whole lot easier just to go with the flow of the river until I find a place where I can get over and turn around easily. And that little U-turn that I may make a half a block down, I have in that time done what I wanted to do in half the time it would have taken me trying to fight the traffic. So
Exactly.
just being in the moment, being in the flow, and all of the things that we've been talking about loving yourself, about understanding the yin and the yang, all of this is leading us to, when you find that place to just quiet your mind, so many things are opened up to you.
Yes, they are. And I know you have, we're going to post, by the way, an article after this show
Okay.
from Karine, right? She wrote, she has written something very, very beautiful. And you talked about Greg Braden. I love him,
Oh yes,
actually. And
yes,
because he's talking about breathing and centering yourself into the heart, that the heart has its own brain, right?
yes, it does. It really does. And this, I love working hand in hand with the yin and the yang of science and and spirituality. Um, he is a very scientific man, and at the Heart Math Institute, which anybody can contact. I mean, you can look it up. They do all of this heart mind connection, and one of the things that he said about meditation is that mathematically they have proven that a person that sits in meditation or is in meditation and holds this heart energy, they can affect 1,000 other people.
Wow.
And interesting, when I started doing a weekly meditation here, when I moved here, my neighborhood was kind of rural and it was happy and everything else. Then they built apartments and it got very like this and fearful. You could feel the tension. And I started doing the meditations, not for any reasons other than starting to do the meditations. And what I noticed that just around the neighborhood, there used to be people yelling at each other, kids crying all the time, cars screeching. Um, you would hear occasional, fighting going on. When we started doing that, and I mean this sincerely, it just became aware to me that this was happening, that the neighborhood is now peaceful. And there's a lot of people now that are in the neighborhood, but they come and they have sports at the park. People are communicating. You don't hear that turmoil, and there's a different sense around. And so I thank everybody that comes to meditation because we are projecting this unconditional love into the world. And whether the people go, oh, what was that? I felt that. They are experiencing it. So we had 5 people last night. That's 5,000 people within our vicinity that are being touched by this heart mind connection.
That's fantastic. And meditation also, centering ourselves, digging within, being our true essence, that also bring us to a point where we stop absorbing so much. We pick it up, we sense it, but we don't absorb. Instead, we radiate.
Yes, yes. And everyone has this capability, and you don't have to you don't have to have a rigid way of doing it or wearing certain clothes. And and I'm not putting any of these things down. These are beautiful things that people do, and I respect them totally. I'm saying to everybody else that you don't have to confine yourself to that way to do it to be part of receiving this beautiful gift that we all are given.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And because energy is extremely powerful, um, all kinds of energies, right? So when even if you say it's 5 people, like it's affecting 5,000, but think of it, if you would be 10 people, 10,000 people would be
I know.
affected.
I know. I know. Um, I'm not sure if you have seen this movie that came out and it was called uh, What the Bleep? What the Bleep? And they had
I've
all
seen a long time ago. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it came out and everybody was looking at that, oh wow, weird, and stuff like that. Well, fortunately, I mean, Gray Braden was on there, Joe Dispenza, and these people I have actually, gone to Sedona and had the privilege of being in their classes. And one of the things that they did, not on What the Bleep, but in one of the classes, um, he was telling us that they took and brought people together in Chicago, LA, Stockholm, um, Rome, all these different places, and on a certain time, and for a week, they did. They just were in the stillness. They weren't doing any form of guided meditation or ritual or anything else. They were just quiet in the heart,
Yeah.
not knowing what was going to happen. What happened was the hospitals had 50% less emergencies. The stock
Wow.
market went up. The weather around those places was just pleasant and mild. the effect that having people gathering, holding this love, just holding love, made a difference. Energy.
Yes, energy. And love, that is the highest energy of all.
Yes. And love not as an emotion. I love you. I love the dog. I love my new car.
No, unconditional love, that's
The
different.
vibration of love. That's what love is the vibration. I get
And it
very
holds,
passionate
yes,
here.
and it holds no expectation. There is no gain from it. There's nothing that we do expect,
Exactly.
right? Nothing.
It's
We just take it as it is and we do radiate. And uh, sometimes people who are very kind or very, very loving can be accused of being too kind and too loving. But one can also say, okay, it depends on how you feel within yourself, where you have come to. If you feel I'm strong and I believe in myself, so
mhm,
therefore I'm not going to change because other people's have assumptions about what
yeah.
it is. But everybody loves, not everybody, but most people, they love kindness. They love when you are loving towards them
Mhm,
and you are showing them. And with that love, you can just, it's like an acceptance
mhm.
of who they are.
I think what first of all, people that don't have that capability are envious. Number one, and number two, in what I'm dealing with, I work a lot with empaths. Is being able to give of themselves, but not give themselves. In other words, I'm going to give love of my heart, but I'm not going to give my heart to you because I still need it. And setting boundaries, and so it's not abused, and you can still love openly, but still have your boundaries. And that may be why people say, "Oh, well, you're love too much, or you're a goody goody." But you know what? I'd rather run into a goody goody than I would to a bully bully.
Exactly. um yes, exactly. And you can come to certain understandings through it, but it makes us walking this path also, digging within, living meditation, loving yourself, trying to see things from different perspectives. It's a lifestyle, right?
It is.
Because it becomes, in the beginning, it's usually curiosity. There is something out there. I know there is something out there. I can feel it. I don't know what it is because it's not something we are being taught, right? We can't touch it. Um, but we want to explore. But it's very, very easy in essence, and I know it's easy for us to say, right? But you have to go within. It's all starting here from the heart. And when you are meditating, you are going within. Either if you live meditation, and basically you can say anytime you are in your bubble by yourself, you're meditating. If you're taking a walk in nature, you're meditating.
Right.
Meditating. You're swimming. Even some chores in the house, when you don't have anything that's chasing you, you are with yourself and you do things. I get a lot of inspiration from that. A lot.
When you're playing a sport and you're in the zone, you literally are in this invincible place that you know that whatever you do is going to finish that. And that is also a form of meditation. um, People will ask, how do I know I'm meditating?
Yes, good question.
And especially when they come here, because my after my house burned down and I was able to build my healing center, chaos created, this. Um, I have a great room and I can have 40 people in there, but I have these couches that fill the whole room. So people come in for meditation and they're bringing their little mats and they think they're going to sit in yoga position. I said, no, sit on the couch, put your feet up. Here's a blankie to keep you comfortable. I said, I just want you to be in the moment and I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll guide you there. I'll watch you while you're there. I'll bring you back. Just be in the moment. Now, I had one client that has been coming for 3 years, every Tuesday night. And she's a very loving person, and she was always concerned about me. She wanted to help me. Well, that she's engaging her mind. She's not allowing herself to have the experience. And this is okay because everybody finds their way. She told us just a couple of weeks ago, she has this awe on her face and says, I finally let go and just enjoyed the moment. And she said, wow. But just her being here, she was around it. She was receiving all the benefits. Her willingness to be was able to share her energy with all the others. But she finally experienced it. But she knew that there was something grand, so she kept coming. And that's the thing. Just keep doing it,
Yes.
you know?
And you can do it for yourself and you can listen to someone guiding you as well, right? Through meditation. And don't push yourself because sometimes we do. And I did that a long time ago. So I was thinking, okay, gosh, I need to see something. I need to, you
Yes,
know, it's going to come when you're ready for it. But if it doesn't come, it doesn't mean you failed. You
that's
didn't
right.
fail. We can't fail.
No, no, we can't. And when you're doing it yourself and you're making this connection, I mean, you're gaining so much for yourself. Now, when we have meditation here, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to take you into the higher dimensions. That's why I prepare the room. I prepare my body, the DNA in my body. I remove the negativity because when you're dealing with energy, you're dealing with, you know, the pros and the cons of the energy. I don't want any negative energy saying, "Oh, there's a pretty light. Let's go see what it is." No, you aren't welcome. So I prepare the room. I prepare the people when they come in here. I basically say, "Okay, grab your drinks. We're going to go on a vacay." And I take them, but I know exactly where they are. I'm watching their energy. I'm not going to let them just get lost out there in the cosmos. So there's deep meditation, in trance meditation, and this is very beneficial. But you can be with someone to do that. And but I caution, always find out who's leading it. You want to know that that person is going to be for your highest
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah. So I think I want to mention because you brought it up too, and we tend to think forget as human beings that it's important to take care of our energy, right? It doesn't
yeah,
mean that we punish ourselves or we have to obey like soldiers, right? But
right.
we just as we are taking a shower, brushing our teeth, I call it something funny, spiritual hygiene. So
Beautiful.
because we need to check up our energies like going through the chakras or doing some clearing and grounding ourselves into the earth because we can also become very very spacey. We chose to come, we're supposed to be here, right? So
That's right.
grounding is also very good, but cleaning your energy in one way or another on a daily basis. And then when you need to do something deeper, yes, there are so many ways like clearings, uh, making the environment being good because energy, yeah, we have polarities, as we said, right? So we have the positive energy and we have something maybe we don't want to. At the same time, when we are cleaning energy, sometimes we stir them up very heavily, and we can see that it becomes a little bit chaotic. Not we're not supposed to fear that because it means energy movement is
Yes.
going to settle, and we need to be persistent, right?
Yes. And just being out in the world, negative thought forms will attach to you. They're kind of sticky and uh, they hang on. So as you say, you need to take that spiritual shower and you need to get and get it off. I had a person come to the house one time and she'd never been here before, and she is very, very, very psychic. And I opened the door and she's standing there. She has a kind of puzzled look on her face and she says, "Do you realize that there's a force field around your house?" I said, "Of course." I mean, doesn't everyone put a force field around their house? She says, "I could really feel it when I came in." I said, "Well, now the good thing is that if you weren't willing to let go of all the sticky, gooey stuff that's on you, you wouldn't be able to get to my front door." So I have this, like, for like a car wash out there that washes anybody that comes to the house. They've got to kind of have a certain amount of the muck washed off. So yes, energy is real and you have to respect it, but you can fully embrace it and you don't have to be afraid of it. you,
Exactly.
you just
Because fear is going to bring more of that which we fear.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
No, I love that because it's very, very important. And my way of doing it that I receive, because even us, it comes sometimes a choke of new things we add and we change things and we do because we learn and we grow and everything. I love to use the crystal city actually to place myself, those around me who gave permission, because I always ask, even if they are
Hmm.
friends or family or whatever.
Exactly.
And my homes, everything I cherish, I place it within the crystal city as a protection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The crystal cities, and uh, the beauty about energy is that as you become a higher vibration, you're gifted with being able to see these crystal cities, and they are everywhere. We think that we're living here and this looks like this, but in reality, whoa, there's such a different, dimension that's coexisting with us. And
Yeah,
yes, but by allowing ourselves to find that magical place in meditation, we come closer and closer to being able to experience these things. Um,
yes,
and Dr. Joe DeBencia has done this incredible stuff. I keep speaking to him every time we talk. I talk about it, but through deep in trance meditation that he teaches people, people will come to his conventions. People with cancer, people with Parkinson's, people that are blind, people that are, are having all kinds of physical or emotional things. And by learning how to get into that magical space and to activate the pineal gland, things really happen. And he has doctors and machines and everything documenting all this. This is not fantasy, this is real. So why not jump on the real bus?
exactly.
you know, it, it, And I love the way that you have, again, infusing meditation with our existence. I love the way that you put that, you know? And
Oh,
and because if we aren't living it, then we're just doing it. It's just another thing we have to do. Oh gosh, we got to go to the store, and then I got to meditate, and then I got to this and everything else.
yeah.
And um, I seem to have been just yammering on and on and on, but this is one of my passions. I apologize. It's I get carried away.
It is a passion, and I think that our purpose of being here is to talk about things that may, on a surface level, sound very, very
Out
easy,
there.
and they are easy. They are not that complicated as we make it, but we need to go in here.
Yes, and it's amazing that I find that simplicity, everything was given us very simply and very easy to attain. But being complicated humans, we think we have to, go through this and do that and everything else to make it work. And it's in the stillness.
It's
And
in the stillness. And because we haven't really been taught this, we are brought up in this world being um, taught to use the mind,
yeah,
logic, everything we can touch and see. If we can't touch it, taste it, or smell it, it's not real, right?
right,
So, but in here, there's a different story, and that's what everybody's seeking. But they are seeking something also outside. So when you meditate, you bring yourself in here, back home to you.
back home. I love the way you said that because I saw this article that Hugh Jackson had written, and I wrote it down for words, verbatim because it's beautifully said. He said about meditation, I let go of everything. I am not Hugh Jackson. I am not a dad. I am not a husband. I am one with myself, familiar with. I am just dipping into the powerful source that creates everything. It is not just finding the silence, it is finding the bliss. It is natural. You see it in babies. You don't need to teach them, they just do it. What meditation has done for me and my family is to take us back to what we have forgotten, which is our birthright to be happy, to be alert, and to actually connect with people in a real way. I meditate before I did the Oscars. I meditated before I go on stage. I meditate in the morning and at lunch and at night. I meditate when I'm on the set and the energy is much finer. I am more authentic and able to really listen to people. It has helped me in ways that I could never understand. Meditation is the purest of nothingness, the
Yeah,
ultimate rest. It is better than sleep, and it sharpens everything, especially your appreciation of your surroundings.
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
I couldn't have said that if I had written a document here. That's what it will do for for each individual. And can you imagine walking around the world with enlightened people?
That will be a bliss, a
Yes.
wonderful bliss. And it's so what he's describing is basically also anything from that light meditation into the deep one, right? So
Oh,
even if
absolutely.
he goes and are on set, he's doing something, but he's present and he's there. Everything from him, all his senses are there. That's also meditation.
Tapping in, tapping into it. And I mean, can you imagine if he were sitting in yoga position and saying to the people on the set, "No, I have to meditate for an hour before I do this." No, it's instantaneous. It's He's in the meditative mind. He's in the mindful mind. He is always able to tap into that stillness and tap into that energy. And once you it becomes part of you living it, like you said, living meditation. It doesn't
Exactly.
make you look weird or sound weird, or I mean you can if you
No.
choose to, but
And you can make jokes and everything, right? But it
absolutely.
is being there also. One could take it a little bit further and say that when we are in a meditative state, that's also the pre-state before you receive messages,
Mhm.
right? So you
That
don't
is,
need
yeah,
to sit. It's like the channeling part, and channeling can be different for many people, but it is when you get inspired thoughts, messages, or when you're speaking, you are in the flow
mhm,
of things.
yes. And having that, like I like to call it, the cosmic connection. It's almost being telepathic because you are listening to another person at the soul level. You're not sitting there trying to think, well, how am I going to counter that? And what if I say this? If you just allow the flow, then intuition is going to guide the words, and it's beautiful. It's easier. It's so much easier.
It is so much easier actually because you don't need to struggle. It doesn't mean that everything is pink and roses in our life, right? We have
No,
to deal with it, but it also brings one to something else we talked about, to have an easier way of responding to things because you have the strength in here. So you pick and choose how you respond. Am I going to put my energy and focus on something that's going to bring me down? Because we don't need to pile up. We're not supposed to pile up things we are bothered about, like when we get angry, irritated. Get it out of your system, but don't get stuck in it. So
yes,
when we are centered in here and we are in the flow and we are living meditation, we don't come to those places very easily, right?
correct.
Because we're centered.
Yes, and it's funny. We're the only species that keeps going back over our garbage all the time. I mean, other species, uh, they may have to fight, for their food. They fight, and then it's over. They eat their food, and then everything is happy. They don't go, well, I remember when so and so did that, and and I remember this, and I, and when the cubs were acting up and everything. No, they're in the moment all the time, and
Yeah.
uh, when you are in the moment and you're thinking clearer, you're going to be able to respond to somebody that's having a challenge in a loving way instead of having to jump back into the cliches. You're going
Yeah.
to be of comfort, and you're going to see things in a clearer way, so you're not going to be making all the mistakes that it got you there. So what's meditation got to do with it? Everything.
Absolutely everything. It's a lifestyle, right? It's not like you go on that mat on a yoga position. That's good to do too if you want to do that.
Oh
But
yeah,
this is
yeah,
it meditation, living it is very, very different because you're there. And about past, it's so interesting. Past is gone, right? We have the present moment. The present moment is going to create the future, right? So we do create the future from this moment on. But the past, people tend to keep on inviting it, and that's the problem, exactly what you did express. So it can't affect us unless we invite it.
yeah.
So if we invite it, we're going to be stuck.
Yeah, I mean, think of this: that you put all of this horrible garbage in your garbage can, and then you say, "Well, I enjoyed it so much, I'm going to go get in there and play in the garbage before the garbage man comes because I really don't want to give it all away. There might be something there that I could use," and and it's and then the future hasn't happened yet. So when you're projecting into the future of what could or could, I mean, you have a general idea, but you're wasting all your energy there, which you could be doing here. And
exactly.
it's we're funny. We're funny creatures. We really are.
Yeah. Plus something else that I've been reading it multiple times, I think, on Facebook and other social media. So I don't know exactly how the saying goes, but don't give away your headspace because that's what we're doing. We
Hmm.
are giving someone our power when we are continuously worrying about something or thinking about something, becoming angry. You treated me like this. I can't forgive that because that means that I do accept what that person did to me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Forgiveness is about you forgiving, not accepting, but forgiving and releasing the energy.
Yes. It no longer has the power over you, and
Exactly.
um, and and all of the animosity that we may feel towards someone, or thinking that we're going to fix it or correct it or what ifs and everything else, they're not feeling that because they don't feel energy. So it's not like we can send them a loving thought and they feel it and they go, oh, I feel good, because they're not there yet. But all of this energy that we're pouring out to it, that could be, hey, we could make a cake and do important things in the world, while we're thinking
Exactly.
about that. Yeah.
Plus, when we hold on to resentment, anger, and things of that nature towards someone, who's going to suffer? Like you said,
That's right.
that person is not going to suffer. I'm going to be caught in that loop and I'm going to suffer myself. So what's the point?
Yes. And not only does your mind have the benefits, but when you're living in that stress, your body cannot function. And stress, and you don't even know where it's coming from. For instance, as simple as the gallbladder.
Yeah,
The energy in the gallbladder is bitterness. And when you take all that bitterness and you keep stuffing it, it stores, that frequency stores in the gallbladder. And so when you have a gallbladder balance, it's probably trying to get rid of all of the bitterness that you felt in all this situation. It's amazing. Our body really talks to us.
yes. I have a book from Louise L. Hay. I had it for,
Oh, I
I don't
love it.
know, more than 20 years or something. And there was a workbook coming with it. And she has a wonderful list. I think the book is You Can Heal Your Life.
Yes, it's laying
And
it's laying right in my
yeah,
grave
I,
room.
I have it here too. And she has a list over bodily responses to emotions and things that are going on with you. And
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah. Because it's either coming from guilt or fear, you know? It's amazing what we do to ourselves with guilt. As I said, the birds and the bees, they just do their thing and they don't worry about what I did yesterday and what's going to happen. And I was telling someone the other day that humans are the only species that lets their young come back and live with them.
Yeah. And and I think something else too that I always say, because when we practice forgiveness, many people have a resistance to that forgiveness.
Yes.
But as I said before, it's about releasing the energy, not holding on to it, releasing it, meaning that we release that person too. Sometimes maybe someone did something wrong to us and we forgive them and we continue together, or maybe we just part, right? But I think it's important when we practice forgiveness, first of all, ask for forgiveness and forgive the person because you don't know. Maybe you said something that's going to hold on to some sort of energy
Hmm.
for you and maybe for that person too, but for you as well, right?
Yes.
Plus, what people tend to forget, forgive yourself.
Exactly.
Yes. If he have that we reacted in a certain way in the past. We did something, and we say to ourselves, we feel guilt for it. Why did I do that? Okay, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, but I'm also going to forgive myself for it because
Mhm.
otherwise I can't move forward, can I?
That's true. I when I was in Peru and I was given the inspiration to write each one of my children a letter, and it was, I forgive you for all that I perceive that you did to me, and
Yeah,
I forgive me for all that I may have, that you may have perceived that I did to you,
yeah,
because we may be doing something, but we don't have any idea how they're going to be accepting it, or how it's going to look on their part. And
yeah,
that's where a lot of misunderstanding comes in, because there again, with describing the cars, I'm describing this type of a car and you're thinking of this, and I'm insulting your kind of a car. So
yes,
you, unless you're actually with that person and saying, from my perspective, this is how I see things. How are you receiving this? We never have those kinds of conversations. And
no, we don't.
it's critical to just understand that that's where you were at that period of your life, and that's what happened. And as I said, forgive on both ends, but especially just say it's okay for me to let go.
Yeah, exactly. It
Right?
is okay. And we are human beings while we're here. We do mistakes. We are not supposed to punish ourselves for a mistake, right?
Hmm.
So I stated somehow like you do, a little bit different maybe. So I state something in these terms. I forgive you for all you have done to me, consciously or unconsciously, because
Exactly.
sometimes we do unconsciously in all existence of time and space. And I ask for forgiveness in the same manner, right? Plus, I forgive myself in the same manner because many times we are acting out of how we have been taught. We're not really aware always, right? So
Exactly.
awareness is actually great. So don't punish yourselves. So when we come to that place when we realize maybe that what I did wasn't the best.
Yeah,
So, but I learned from it. I'm not going to carry the burden of it. I'm carrying the lesson.
that's true. And the lesson. And a big thing is then releasing it. Don't go out in the garbage and dig it up again. Let it go, because you have so many other things that you've got coming, you know.
Yes,
And be kind to yourself. Uh, and when you're thinking about, oh well, I really should add meditation in my life. I don't have time and everything. Be kind and say, in the time that I took to think about all the things that I could do to meditate, I could have meditated for 3 minutes. I could have,
yeah,
and so bring it into the, okay, I'm going to try this, and just be in the moment for a little bit, be in
yes.
space. And how did you put it? Take take a step back.
Yeah, take a step back and just be the observer instead. Don't, I say something else too. Don't jump in with both feet at the same time without seeing, right? Being
Exactly.
aware. So when we do that, we leave the energy to work for us instead of trying to steer it, which is not going to be successful.
Uh-uh. And it's a whole lot nicer letting someone else paddle the boat. you know, uh, as I say, my mama didn't raise no dummy, and if I could find a simpler way to do something, I'm certainly going to. It needs to be efficient and correct and
Yeah,
ethical and all of those things. But if it's going to be simpler, why reinvent the wheel? I mean,
exactly. Like Bob usually says, right? Simplify your life.
exactly.
Simplify it because we have been taught to manage life in a way that gives us a lot of road bumps we don't need to have, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so delightful. I, you know, I'm hoping that everybody is receiving just a glimmer of how joyful I feel because I enjoy this so much, and I'm hoping that there are just little nuggets that people can grab onto. So, you know,
I
love
think
to
that there will
everybody.
be a bunch of nuggets to take on, actually. And you know, the benefit of coming in like this is that also we do radiate things. We are healers, both of us, so we radiate healing. We try to talk about things, and it's always unscripted in some way. Yeah, we have some points, bullet points, but you know, it's like the conversation because we are present here, so it's the same thing,
Mhm.
just comes, and the conversation flows.
Yes, it's magic, I love magic.
I love magic too. So, is there anything else you want to state?
I think I'm topicked out for the moment.
Okay. So, are we going to wrap it up?
Yes.
Okay. So, thank you everyone. You have been watching Cosmic Guardians with hosts Anne and Corrine, and we have been talking about meditation. I lost it. Sorry. Meditation. What's meditation got to do with it? So I can gift that to everybody. Losing a little bit of time here, and you know it is. We have a conclusion that I can actually say very fast here. In summary, meditation isn't just about finding quiet moments, it's about infusing our entire existence with mindfulness and compassion.
Yes.
Whether you're on a cushion or stuck in traffic, meditation has something to offer everywhere, right? So the next time life gets chaotic, remember it's not just about where you sit, it's about how you live, right?
Very much so. Yes.
Yes. And our next live will be on Wednesday, July 21st, discussing unraveling spirituality, the quest for inner meaning. So, what is spirituality? What does it mean to be spiritual? Plus your questions and free mini readings live on air. We go live at facebook.com/Cosmic Guardians and youtube.com/at Angel Place on Earth. And thank you for watching us and have a wonderful time. And I say, like I always do, love, light, peace, and joy.
Love, light, peace, and laughter.
Oh, that's beautiful. Bye.
Bye.
We have an outro here. Sorry.